Well, hello everybody and welcome back to a Sunday in the Gardens. It's a little bit windy, but hopefully not as bad as it has been in the past, as the wind picks up, of course. So I thought I would show you around what's going on with the garden this year, because I'm taking kind of a more traditional planting seeds out instead of started plants, aside from my peppers, of course. And yeah, the wind is picking up, so let's just change the angle. So starting with something kind of fun and different this year, we've got the garden ships, or the land champas, whatever you want to call them, that I built from last year. The straw bale gardens. And this is the one that I was trying cabbage in last year. I decided to skip that. I got a new plant for cabbage I'll tell you all about later. But this year, you can probably guess that it's some variety of squash. It is in fact spaghetti squash, because that is one of my favorite things to grow. I like to grow things that store really easily, and spaghetti squash falls into that category. So yeah, I've just got the 6 plantings in there, but as you can see I overplanted each location, and we do seem to be getting a really decent sprouting rate. And I have to say, those are some of the broadest seed leaves I have seen on a spaghetti squash seedling in a really long time, so kind of excited about that. I mean, it's the middle of June, but we had a really late spring, and the weather report says we're probably going to have a really extended summer, so I am hopeful. Spinning around the next garden champa here. Got some indigo rose tomato starts off of a fellow at the townwide yard sale. Actually hoping to interview him for the channel because he has an exceptional garden, and it's pretty exceptional every year. So he was selling 6 tomato starts for $4, so I traded him instead, because that's what I like to do. And I traded him, what was it? I gave him a couple of gooseberry plants, because I paid $4 each for those. So 2 gooseberry plants for 2 little flats of tomatoes. Now these ones here are not indigo rose. These are apparently some sort of a yellowy cherry tomato. Quite excited to see how they are, and kind of find out if they're basically the broad ripple cherries that I've had for so long, because these are the indigo rose, and he got the seeds from from someone at a farmer's market. So yes, love them, love the color on those plants. And then if we move over to the last of the champas here, we have very sad little pepper starts in here. The peppers that I was so proud of, I put out. We had 2 days of hard frost. They died. So now we've got, these are the ahis, which, come on now, little cup. Ahi ahuchapan, which is fun to say, but awkward to grow. It looks like they might have survived. I mean, they're not great looking plants right now, but it looks like the ahis might have survived. And then back here, the Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion, I think maybe we have this one, but it kind of looks like the other 3 are definitely dead. So while I had such grand pepper starts, I'm still looking at kind of a pretty questionable pepper harvest and finish, but I have plans. It's pretty much always the case, though. I pretty much always have another plan. There's an alphabet full of other plans. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, this year I'm taking the whole row gardening thing a lot more seriously. This one here, I don't know how well you can see it in this particular shot, hopefully fairly well. We've got all sugar pie pumpkins. So these are hopefully those delicious little pumpkins where I cut one in half, cook it for about half an hour. I've got 2 harvest loaves worth of pumpkin, and it's beautiful. Too small to carve, but I find smaller pumpkins have a sweeter flavor, so they're better for cooking. Beside that, we've got, what is this? Little row. Look at this, the brassica beetles, flea beetles, already all over these. This should be beets. I don't know if they're going to make it, because they're getting flea beetle bitten, something fierce. And back here, pretty well grown, aren't they? These are parsnips from last year. Oh, actually, no, these aren't the beets. What was I thinking? These are the rutabagas. I am unfamiliar with what a rutabaga tastes like, but figured I'd grow it anyway. This just realized one of those barkings I hear is Archer going nutters in the house because I made him wait for a couple minutes before he comes outside. Horrible human that I am. Okay, so this next row, that is beets. And if we look, we can see got a bunch of them coming up. It is kind of neat, this whole watching the row form, which is not really how I generally go about things. I don't generally plant a lot of root crops, although I should, you know, like standard gardening stuff. A lot of weeds in here, as usual. So I guess I'll have to be coming through here and doing some weed removal, but already, you know, the lawn clippings have browned out, and I've got my mulch on there. What is this next row? I think this is spinach, and I don't know that I noticed much coming up last time I was going over this a couple of days ago. But I haven't grown a lot of spinach for fear of it bolting. This claims it will not bolt, so I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a try. Apparently in this row there are some 350 spinach seeds. And then we got carrots, which have sprouted. Actually a lot quicker than I was expecting, so a little green fuzzy patches here. I've got some 4,000 carrot seeds in this one row. So overplanted for sure, but they've got room to spread out, and it's not like, you know, they're tight together. Whoopsie. It's not like they're tight together or anything, so they should shove each other around, hopefully, and still grow to a decent size. And that should be more than enough carrots for us and the extended family for the year, so still hoping and praying there. And then over here, this is supposed to be zucchini, but I don't see any zucchini sprouting yet. Yet another reason I normally get starts for these kind of things. So yeah, not a lot going on there. Then, spinning around to the next garden bed, you may remember these are the two that I just dug up last year for tomatoes, basically, right? So I moved my little wire fence that I found, came with the house. We've got a whole bag of peas planted right along the edge here. I don't know how they're going to do, but interestingly enough, because this is where I threw the carrot seeds last year, at the base of all the tomatoes, we've got tons of carrots that are resprouting, and I don't know if they're going to grow bigger roots this year, or I believe someone once told me carrots are a biannual crop, and in their second year they're going to go to seed. So in theory this might turn into a nice beautiful carrot top with free seeds for me. So that would be sweet, because I mean it's not like they're expensive, but free is better. Up here we do have some of the surviving pepper starts, surviving for now anyway. It's like 8 orange habaneros that might have a chance in the front here. And then I love the mulch because then I can just kind of walk in the garden. I don't worry about it. Got an ahi verde. This one's not looking too bad. Yahi crystal, not looking great. MA faces, that's like a Matthew Arthur faces, I think, something like this. It's split. It's green. I've got worse looking peppers, but one of the nicest looking survivors is, hand through the shadow here, out of the matchbox. We've got, although it's a tiny plant, nice green on there, nice healthy green on there, a little bit of healthy green at the very top there, so I'm glad they're prolific. I'm going to need something to dry and powder this year, so here's to hoping it's going to be matchboxes. But like I said, I do have a plan. Some of the pepper starts that I brought out a little bit earlier, yeah, they have survived, but they don't look great. So I've taken them back inside. I'm going to pamper them under the light. Hopefully they haven't had long enough to get really pest infested. And hopefully I'll be able to get some sort of a harvest going off of that. But we'll see. I'm also going to do some replanting because planting on January 15th, we already harvested garden salsas, cayennes, lemon habaneros. So if I plant a couple of each of those and baby them underneath the shop light and the Sansi 70-watt LED, which turns out to be a great little light. I'm so glad they sent me that. Excuse me. Whew. Yeah, that's a great little light, and it doesn't mess with my camera too bad, so I like that. But anyway, so I think I am finally going to get around to having an indoor pepper garden because it seems like I licked the aphid problem, so why not, right? Hopefully then I can keep a plant multi-years like that old sand dollar plant. Oh, speaking of which, if by any chance any of you are still watching at this point, and you happen to have seeds for the old sand dollar plant that I may have sent you several years ago, if you could happen to regrow one of those plants and maybe send me some of those seeds, I have really been missing the pepper. I like orange hot peppers. The flavor of an orange pepper is quite different from a green or a red or a yellow pepper. And B, I missed the shape. It was a really cool looking plant and it was a really cool looking pod. So if by any chance you do have sand dollar pepper seeds kicking around, would love to get my hands on some. You can email me if you need me to send you a couple bucks or whatever for stamps and postage, because I know things are crazy now. But that would be fantastic. Anyway, we're supposed to be looking around the current garden, not hoping for future seeds. So one sec and we'll get back to it. Now this thistle bed was once upon a time a pepper garden, but it is now being converted to these perennial onions and a few other things. The onions, because the old garden patch is in a really shady place and they just don't grow for beans there anymore. Whereas up here, I have already got the beginnings of the little onion sets that are going to form on the top of here. We're going to have an excellent harvest just off of these 3 plantings. So what I did was I took a couple of the collections of the bulbs and I put them where I had peppers last year. So there are like 4 or 5 more plantings along the back here. And I'm just going to convert this whole patch probably to perennial onions because they're stubborn and I like them. So why not? They're a good little pickling onion. They're a good little roasted onion. And these full-size onions, I don't know, I don't seem to do very well with them. There are a couple in amongst the dandelions and the thistles here, but they're not doing well. So the other thing I was thinking about maybe growing in this patch, and I haven't checked the companion planting book yet, but I'm thinking about sinking in some horseradish. I mean, I know it's an invasive crop and it takes over, but let's just take a look at how it takes over space, shall we? Way over here by the cherry tree we have 2, I suspect, these are horseradish plants. And yeah, they're kind of by themselves. You know, I look around, I see dandelions, I see assorted cool weather grasses. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of warm weather grass seed in our yard, so it looks pretty nasty right about now. But, okay, we got a couple of horseradish over there, mostly thistle here, but I did pull a monster horseradish out of this front corner, so I'm sure if I actually look, I'll find more in there. Puppy's barking away in the house, so I gotta have to wrap this up. But, okay, taking over, right? I want to show you where it's really bad. Here, back in the original perennial onion patch, this is probably where the horseradish has taken over the worst. I mean, you can see we've got this one here, and there's a horseradish here, and if we wander a little bit, because it's so invasive, oh, this is apparently a horseradish. Rather sizable one. I've been trying to weed whip around them so I can harvest these guys this year. This is apparently a horseradish. It looks like it might be about to flower and go to seed, or it's got some sort of infestation on it. I'll have to look into that. There's a horseradish here, and there's a horseradish here. Now, they are fairly close here, but I planted some horseradish here, so that makes sense. That said, though, as far as a plant that takes over, I planted it kind of here. So where's the horseradish that is taking over my garden, you know? Get a couple, got one there, get a couple over there. And this is, seriously, the worst of it. So, after the fall, when we have our first frost, I will be pulling a few of these up. If they are, in fact, the horseradish I'm expecting, next year, I am definitely moving a ton of these horseradishes up into that perennial onion patch because it gets so much more sun. So why not? And then, of course, you know, I got these potato piles, taking another kick at the cat with the same bit of straw. Fluffed it, rearranged it, moved it around. Put a couple of potatoes in each of these larger piles that had thrown roots over the course of the winter. Hopefully they will eventually show me some greens. That would be nice. Didn't get much out of it last year. And in this little apple bucket, there are some baby potatoes that we got from the store that were left over. So I figured, what the heck, and threw them in there as well. Now in the bunker garden this year, Shark went ahead. She got us some asparagus roots, threw them in there, and within a couple of weeks, we've already got these things shooting up. Now we're not going to get to enjoy these this year. I mean, we get to enjoy watching them go all frondy and stuff. But next year, we should be able to have a couple of little asparagus spears, and the year after that, there'll be more, and then more, and then more. So, I know somewhere I have a pack of asparagus seeds. You want to find them, plant the heck out of the other side of the bunker here, and hopefully we'll have a nice asparagus bunker. This thing starts cooking earlier than anything else in the garden. Spring is when the asparagus pops up. It seems to me that we have a really good combination here. And I read in that Tomatoes Love Carrots, or Carrots Love Tomatoes, or whatever that companion planting book is, that after you cut your asparagus spears, if you put your tomatoes in where the asparagus grows, they prevent some sort of beetle, and the asparagus prevents something else for the tomatoes. And basically it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And sprinkling some parsley seeds in here, apparently, also a mutually beneficial relationship. So yeah, I know where the parsley seeds are. Those are easy to find. I, for the life of me, cannot find that pack of asparagus seeds that I've been looking at for a couple of years. Going, oh, I gotta plant that. But did I do it? No. Have I lost it? Absolutely. And I think that is a wrap. I've got to go get the puppy from inside before he destroys anything like a shoe like, which he does. And it's a beautiful sunny day, so I've got yard work to get doing. But I wanted to give you all a quick update on how the actual garden is doing this year, and show you, unfortunately, what has happened to those peppers. But yeah, so that's what's growing on outside right now. And I will see y'all next time.